Today, I completed Brandon Sanderson's most recent publication, Tailored Realities, which was published in 2025, and I'm really excited to give you a spoiler-free review for this book, so let's get into it. First things first, this is a collection of sci-fi short stories by Brandon Sanderson. There are 10 of them, and they range in size, so Probability of Approaching Zero is 2 to 3 pages long, and Moment Zero is the last short story, and it's about 150 pages long. So that's kind of the range that you're looking at for these short stories. Each of the short stories in this book has an annotation at the end where Brandon Sanderson gives a little bit of an explanation around when he wrote this, what was some of his inspirations or intentions, or how he currently feels about it. Those are really enriching as well for us to get kind of a glimpse into Brandon Sanderson's mind with how he felt about each of these short stories. All the short stories predominantly exist in a sci-fi genre setting, but they have really cool different spin-offs in certain cases, one of which that was really interesting had a little bit of a horror element as well. But they sometimes take ideas or things that you've seen in other stories and flip them on their head or show you a new way of introducing that idea, presenting it, or shifting a main component of it. So this definitely is a collection of stories that also gives you a fresh take on some of the ideas you may have already been presented with in the sci-fi genre. Now, for my rating of this book, I would give this book a solid 4-star rating overall, 0 spice. The star rating per short story ranges from a 5-star short story to a short story that I would actually give a little less than 3 stars to. But I will say 6 of the short stories in this book I would rank at 4 stars or higher. There were only 3 that would be in the 3-star range, and there was one that I rank slightly lower at 2.9 stars. Oh, which is quite a thing to say. I am going to post a video after this one going into the rankings for each of the short stories. It's also going to be spoiler free, but it'll be a little bit more of an explanation as to how I feel about each of the short stories. Another thing I absolutely love about this book is that before every single short story, there is a art depiction that's also included, which is so fun. My favorite short story in the entire collection is Firstborn, and this is the art depiction page that we have before this short story. I love that Brandon Sanderson has included those pieces of art before each of these short stories. They really add and are really fun. I will say overall, and this probably is just a fact of it being a collection of short stories, there were definite moments where I was going back to the table of contents and I was like, wait, what was that short story about? Wait a second. I don't know if I can remember. Like, it took a second. And even now, like, when I was creating my ranking list, I had moments where some of them did just kind of like, I was like, oh, that's a little hard for me to remember. In one case, that's a pro. For Mitosis, there really should have been a trigger warning before that short story that was listed in this book because there are definite spoilers for the first book in The Reckoners in that short story. And I could tell while reading it. I started reading it and then I was like, huh, I think this might contain massive spoilers for one of the books in The Reckoners. I have not read The Reckoners yet, but like I said, one of the values in that I'm hoping to forget that short story. I will be reading the trilogy of The Reckoners, but probably in no sooner than in 2 years. So I've got plenty of time to forget about that short story that I definitely read out of order. I really do wish there had been a trigger warning in this. I've found some online, but it would have been great if it was in the book itself. So there's pros and cons to the fact that the stories are awesome and fun to read, but sometimes hard to remember or recall just based on the title. So anyways, I had a great time with Tailored Realities. I would recommend this as a fantastic palate cleanser book, especially if you're coming out of a very large series. I just finished the Empire of the Vampire trilogy, which was huge, and I definitely needed some short stories, and this really helped me with that. So definitely a wonderful palate cleanser, definitely a great exploration into Brandon Sanderson's works from the last 20 years. I think the earliest, I think Firstborn was published all the way back in 2005, and then the most latest was Moment Zero, which is the last short story, and that was published in 2025, with this being the first time that that story has been told in this book. So it was really cool to see that conglomeration of different writing techniques that Brandon Sanderson has explored in the last 20 years. So honestly, thought it was really fun, and I enjoyed the short stories, and this really did operate as a palate cleanser. I definitely thought after this that I would want a little bit of YA fantasy before hopping back to Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere, but honestly, I'm in the sci-fi vibe right now, thanks to Tailored Realities. This was definitely the case before Moment Zero. Moment Zero was a longer short story than I think I was originally anticipating, but I'm still feeling sci-fi, and there is a book I need to read before March because that's when the movie of it comes out, and I know a lot of you have seen this book recommended on a lot of different book talk accounts, and that is Project Hail Mary. I am so excited to read this book. I literally have not seen a single negative comment about this book. Not on any of the videos I've watched. Maybe you have, but I absolutely have not. I've only seen positive things, and I've seen multiple people rank this as one of their favorite reads of the year for last year, have put this on their 6-star perfect reads. I'm so excited for this book. I definitely need to get it done before March because it's going to the theaters, and I'm also really excited for the cast that has been selected for this movie. So I'm going to read it, I'm going to review the book, and then when the movie comes out, I will do a book movie comparison because, of course. But this is my next great read, and I am so excited to share it with you. And then after that, I will be hopping into The Cosmere with the Mistborn trilogy, which I'm really excited for. So that is my spoiler-free review of Tailored Realities by Brandon Sanderson. Look out for my next post where I will go a little bit more in depth for each of the specific short stories in this book, giving it my star ranking and a brief synopsis, all spoiler-free, for how I feel about each of the short stories. That will be posted next. Otherwise, keep reading what you love, and I will see you next time.